Thomas Warren, 47, pushes a cart loaded with bags of cement through the hardware store. Neutral expression while paying in cash. Surveillance cameras capture your image as the attendant asks about a major renovation. Thomas just smiles. Something like that. That morning, the basement of the house is lit by a single lamp. Thomas works methodically. Dull noises. A chainsaw cuts through the silence of the night. Neighbors hear, but no one checks. 3 days later, police officers observe the newly concreted floor. Smooth surface, professional. A shovel with dark spots is analyzed by experts. The investigator asks about the 5 missing teenagers, including Thomas's niece. Emotionally, he responds, "I don't know what they're talking about." Narration. Some houses hold terrible secrets, but in the Warren household, the true horror was hidden in plain sight. Ashley Warren, 15 years old, collection of sunrise Polaroids. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. even on Sundays. The camera, a gift from his mother on his last birthday, is rarely far from his body. In the album, each photo is catalogued by date and predominant color. At school, silent. In his images, expressive. I wrote on the back of each photo. Poems, thoughts, secrets. Karen Warren, single mother, nurse, worked overtime. Thomas, the uncle, picked Ashley up from school. "He is a gift in our lives," Karen always said. Ashley and her uncle in the garden on Sundays. She loved the cinnamon cookies he brought. In the week before the disappearance, signs, diary suddenly in code, bedroom door locked, collection of photos hidden under the bed, refuses to visit his uncle. "I don't want to go there anymore, Mom." No explanations. Karen thought, teenage phase. I was wrong. The last photo in Ashley's album. Taken by her mother, not by her. In the image, Ashley smiles, eyes opaque, hugs Karen with unusual strength when leaving a friend's birthday party. The flash freezes the moment. Ashley holds her mother's hands. "You're the best mother in the world. Never forget that, no matter what. Promise?" Karen kisses her daughter's forehead, distracted. "Of course I promise, honey. Why are you saying that?" Ashley looks away. "You're welcome. I just wanted you to know." He hugs his mother again, more intensely. "I love you, Mom, more than anything." Karen notices something strange in her daughter's voice. That night, he hears Ashley on the phone speaking quietly. It doesn't matter. Next morning, empty room, bed untouched, Polaroid camera on the desk, without film. Next to it, a photo torn in half. Only half of Uncle Thomas's face visible, a farewell. A cell phone video recorded 2 days earlier shows Ashley singing karaoke at Jennifer Miller's house. Pop music fills the atmosphere. 5 teenagers dance, eat pizza, laugh. A common scene of girls enjoying life. Jennifer would also disappear a week later. Ashley is at the microphone, hair down, smiling. "We're going to do this every month," they promise at the end of the video, hands joined in a youthful pact. "Next time it's at my house," says Ashley. His expression occasionally shifts to the window. Karen rewatches the video hundreds of times after her disappearance. How could the daughter who seemed so happy disappear 48 hours later? In the background of the video, a detail that no one noticed. A dark car passes slowly, stops, and continues forward. The same vehicle would later be identified on cameras near the school in the days before the disappearances. Death was already watching its prey. Ashley's latest post on her Instagram account. Not the usual sunrise, but the elongated shadow of a man cast across the lawn. Disproportionate, threatening. Caption, "Certain shadows follow you no matter how fast you run." Olivia Chen comments, "Everything okay, Ash? You've been acting strange. Can we talk?" Ashley's final response, posted at 22:17. "Some doors once opened can't be closed again, but maybe I'll find a way out. Or at least leave enough clues so that others don't get lost in the same basement. If something happens to me, don't believe in coincidences. Look in the red boxes. They hold more than tools." Message ignored as teen drama. 3 months later, when 5 disappearances are connected, his words would take on terrible meaning. Ashley left clues to her own murder, knowing it was inevitable. March 17, 2347, security camera from the neighboring house. Ashley walking quickly down the sidewalk, looks back repeatedly. Carry a small bag. He wears an oversized coat, later identified as belonging to his absent father. Grainy image shows tears being wiped away several times. 23:49. Ashley stops suddenly. Look to the right, toward a corner outside the frame. Frozen body. Motionless for a full 20 seconds. 23:50. Decision made. Shoulders straighten. Head lifts. He walks purposefully towards the corner and disappears from the frame. Don't run. Don't scream. He continues as if accepting an inevitable destiny. The camera doesn't show who or what was waiting for her beyond that corner. That was the last time Ashley Warren was seen alive. Recording discovered just 3 days later, when it was already too late. 6:20 next morning. Karen wakes up to make coffee. Empty daughter's room. Search the house. Call friends who are still sleepy. No one saw Ashley. 7:15. Karen calls her brother. He asks if Ashley was weird the day before, if she said anything about going out. Thomas sounds worried, offers to look for it on the way to school. 9:45. At the police station, Karen fills out the police report with shaking hands. Questions about a secret boyfriend, family fights, problems at school. Karen responds mechanically, she's not one of those things. 14:30. Thomas shows up at the police station to support his sister, suggests escape due to teenage rebellion. She's been very closed off lately, he tells the police, hugging his sister. Maybe I met someone online. 19 Sal. Photo of Ashley on social media. Hashtag find Ashley. A colleague comments, she seemed scared the last few days. Always looking over her shoulder. Day 2. Volunteers organized into groups. Thomas leads the team, searching parks and areas near the school. Offers $5,000 reward. She's like a daughter to me, he tells local cameras. Search concentrated in public areas. No one checks the renovated basement of the house next door, where Thomas has lived alone since his divorce. Day 3. Ashley's bag found in an alley 2 kilometers from the house. Inside, only wallet with $7. No cell phone, no keys. Sniffer dogs lose track at that point. Day 4. Jennifer Miller, Ashley's best friend, disappears on her way to school. Panic in the community. Parents looking for children in person. Day 7. Third disappearance. Lauren Peterson, 16 years old, after volleyball practice. Same school. Similar profiles. Quiet, creative, few friends. Police work with the hypothesis of a serial predator, but without connecting the dots that really matter. Day 10. Public library. A woman finds a folded page inside the book, Secret Codes, History and Practice. He recognizes the handwriting seen on the missing person posters. Torn diary page, hidden like a message in a bottle. He has a red box, big, metal. Inside are the things he hides. Photographs, clippings, memories of the others before. I saw him taking it to the basement last night. Old lock, with a combination of numbers. I tried to open it when he left. I couldn't. There are things on top of the others, I'm sure. Don't trust T, it's not who we think. Watch them for weeks, plan. If something happens to me, look in the basement. Under the new cement. Thomas Warren, when questioned, denies owning any red boxes. Ashley was making up stories. She's had trouble distinguishing between reality and fantasy since her divorce. No concrete evidence, no warrant. Ticket filed as circumstantial evidence. Detective Richardson listens to Karen Warren, but classifies the case as possible teen runaway in his initial report. In the sterile room of the police station, the lack of understanding between them is palpable. Ms. Warren, most teenagers come back within 48 hours. Fights, boyfriends, boredom, so you know. Did your daughter have problems at home? Karen responds with a voice that trembles with indignation. Not Ashley. I would never do that. Something is wrong. She left her cell phone, all her clothes, even the camera that she never let go of. Richardson half-heartedly notes, we'll register, but no significant resources yet. Standard protocol, 48 hours, we'll talk again. In another room, rookie police officer Sam Torres analyzes the history. 5 disappearances in the region in 18 months. All girls between 14-16 years old. Try to alert your superiors. The police chief responds angrily, "Don't confuse coincidence with pattern, rookie. This isn't a big city with serial killers. Teenagers run away, that's what they do." Torres puts away his notes, frustrated, a decision that would cost 3 more lives. Day 12. Melissa Rodriguez, Ashley's colleague, in Richardson's office. Trembling, looking at her hands, the detective barely looks up from other papers. Ashley was scared of her uncle. She said he looked at her strangely. He walked into the bathroom by mistake when she was in the shower. And he took pictures of her without permission. Richardson asks skeptically, "Any specific incident? Evidence of these supposed photographs?" Melissa hesitantly responds, "Not exactly, but she was really scared. She talked about a box where he kept secrets." Richardson calls Thomas Warren before he even finishes the report. "Mr. Warren, we have a disturbing statement from your niece's colleague, Melissa Rodriguez." Thomas laughs comfortably. "Let me guess. Melissa? Psychological problems. Made up stories about teachers, too. Imaginary harassment. Ask at school." The director, a personal friend of Thomas, confirms unfounded accusations in Melissa's past. Testimony filed as unreliable within an hour. No investigation authorized. Melissa reprimanded for getting in the way with costumes. Day 14. Parish hall packed for community meeting. Fluorescent lights reveal tense faces, palpable fear, but also denial. No one wants to believe that evil could come from within. Detective Richardson speaks in a bureaucratic tone. "We investigate all leads. Keep an eye out for suspicious behavior. Strangers in the neighborhood. Unknown vehicles." Thomas Warren stands up. Tall, well-dressed, respected engineer. Deacon of the church for 15 years. "As Ashley's uncle, I am devastated. But we cannot let fear consume us or point fingers at each other. I propose a citizen watch group, house by house." Applause. The community finds its leader, Thomas appointed coordinator. Martha Reynolds, Thomas's neighbor, raises her hand shyly. "I heard strange noises from his house, knocks in the early hours of the morning, right after Ashley disappeared, and a truck delivering a lot of cement." Awkward silence. Pastor Williams interjects, "He's renovating the basement, for God's sake. Martha, this is absurd. Thomas is a pillar of this community." Martha is practically expelled from the meeting, called hysterical. No one questions the reforms initiated exactly after Ashley's disappearance. Day 16. Karen sitting on Ashley's untouched bed. In his hand, the diary page found in the library, the daughter's unmistakable handwriting. He murmurs into the void, "Why doesn't anyone believe? Why don't they do anything?" Ashley tried to warn. The phone rings, interrupting his monologue. It's Richardson. "Miss Warren, we need to reclassify the case." Karen feels her blood run cold. "What do you mean?" The answer is bureaucratic and cold. "Limited resources. Without new evidence, we will reduce priority. Non-urgent cases. The investigation continues, but at a reduced pace." Karen collapses after hanging up. There are no more tears, just cold anger. Hours later, he drives to his brother's house. Through the kitchen window, he sees Thomas working in the basement. Next to him, red, large metallic toolbox, exactly as Ashley described. Karen takes photos with her cell phone, trembling hands. Richardson doesn't answer calls. Other police officers respond indifferently. "You'll need a lot more than a photo of a toolbox for a warrant. He's your brother. He has every right to tools." Day 17. Fourth disappearance. Abigail Turner, 15 years old. Cameras show her voluntarily getting into the car. Driver not visible. Plate covered in mud. Physical education teacher David Mills, 29 years old, is being investigated. Messages exchanged with Ashley and Jennifer. Content apparently about the school project Body and Mind. Suspicious frequency, 30 messages in a month. Why are there so many messages outside school hours? Some after 10 p.m., asks Richardson. Mills responds nervously. "They had doubts about the project. They were excited. I was just being a good teacher." Dr. Rebecca Lane, a school psychologist, reports, "Ashley came to me twice but never revealed the problem. She would start talking, back off, as if she was afraid of something or someone. She said she felt like she was being photographed without knowing it." A security guard at the mall claims to have seen Ashley arguing with an older man the day before she disappeared. She seemed scared. He held her arm tightly. She said everything was fine when I asked. The man had a scar near his eyebrow. Thomas Warren has a similar scar, the result of a childhood accident. Day 18. Jennifer Miller's cell phone is found in a dumpster near David Mills' house, intact. No fingerprints except Jennifer's own. The professor is arrested, visibly shocked by the evidence. I have nothing to do with this. Someone is framing me. I don't even know where these girls are. Forensic analysis reveals that the cell phone was turned on briefly and turned off 12 hours after Jennifer's disappearance, in a location close to Mills's home. Deleted messages are partially recovered, showing that Jennifer feared someone. It doesn't specify who. He knows we know. It's not safe right now. Follow Ashley's plan. But cameras in the building where Mills lives show he didn't leave the house that night. Images of the hallway and elevator confirm his alibi. Who planted the cell phone? Day 19. Thomas Warren surprises the police by presenting text messages between Ashley and an unknown number, found backed up on the family computer. The messages suggest eloping with an older man. How did you get access to these messages? Asks Richardson. She used my computer sometimes. She was looking for something that could help. I found it by chance, replies Thomas too calmly. The number is traced to a prepaid phone purchased 30 kilometers away. Cameras show a man with a cap and mask, a physique similar to Mills. The investigation once again focuses on the teacher. Day 20. Conflicting testimony fragments the case in several possible directions. Olivia Chen, Ashley's friend, says, she mentioned a terrible secret about someone in her family. She never revealed details. She said she had evidence stored in a safe place. Jennifer's boyfriend insists she was terrified about something to do with Ashley. He said, if I disappear, it's by the same man. He watches us. He has pictures of us. Ashley found out. He never specified who he was. The art teacher reports, Ashley was constantly drawing closed doors and boxes over the last few weeks, dark red tones. She said they were recurring nightmares about being trapped. The timeline gets confusing. Thomas claims to have seen Ashley the morning of her disappearance. Karen says her daughter was no longer home when she woke up. A neighbor claims to have seen lights in the room at 2 a.m., contradicting the recording that shows Ashley leaving at 11:47 p.m. The owner of the materials store confuses even more. I don't remember exactly when Thomas bought the cement. It could have been before or after his niece's disappearance. He comes here often. Day 21. Library records reveal disturbing information. 3 of the 5 missing girls visited the same book about codes and secret messages in the weeks before their disappearance. The librarian notices something strange. The same book was borrowed 6 times in 2 months. This rarely happens with such specific books. Inside the book, recently returned by an anonymous user, subtle markings on the pages, numbers discreetly circled in pencil, 27 to 13 to 36. Rookie cop Torres notices the coincidence. It's the same sequence that appears in old photos of Thomas Warren with youth baseball teams. The red box always in the background, partially visible in all images. On another page of the book, small drawing of a box with a cross. On the back of one of the photos in Ashley's room, the same symbol. Coincidence or communication? Day 22. 5th disappearance. Olivia Chen, 16, the same one who had testified about Ashley's terrible secret. He left a cryptic message for his mother. Look in the red box. The mother did not understand the meaning. Searching Ashley's room again, Karen finds, scraped behind the desk, barely visible without direct light. TV. Basement. 13:27 to 36. The same sequence of numbers. Thomas Warren shows up unexpectedly at the police station, offering a house for searches, claiming complete transparency. I have nothing to hide. I want my niece back. The timing is too suspicious to ignore. Day 23. During a voluntary search in the nearby forest, a sniffer dog reacts violently to the area away from the trails, barks frantically, digging the ground. Shallow excavations reveal small buried female shoe. It is identified as belonging to Lauren Peterson, the 3rd missing person. The soil shows signs of recent disturbance. The site is less than half a mile from the rural property that Thomas Warren inherited from his parents, rarely visited but maintained in his name. Inside the shoe, a note hidden in the insole, written in shaky handwriting in a pen with almost no ink. If you find this, look for Thomas Warren's basement. Red box. New cement. He's hunting us one by one. Ashley knew. He tried to warn us. There are 5 of us. He said it's a special number. We won't be the last. Forensic analysis confirms the lyrics are by Lauren Peterson. The note was written under extreme stress, probably in low-light conditions. Thomas Warren, informed of the note, reacts with indignation, accuses authorities of planting evidence, presents alibis for 3 of the 5 disappearances, engineering conferences in neighboring cities with witnesses confirming their presence. The police hesitate again. Day 24. Karen enters her brother's house alone, using the spare key for family emergencies. The silence of the empty house is oppressive, interrupted only by the rhythmic ticking of an antique clock in the living room. Slowly descend to the basement. Each step creaks beneath your feet. The smell of fresh cement is suffocating, mixed with something more acrid, chemical, possibly industrial cleaning products. The new, perfectly level concrete floor contrasts with the old exposed brick walls. The coldness of the environment is physical and metaphorical. Karen touches the cement, feeling its abnormally smooth surface, still slightly damp in some hidden spots near the walls. Your fingers find a small, almost imperceptible depression, as if something had been buried, and the cement had given minimally as it dried. On the wall, tools meticulously organized in a panel, each with its own drawn outline, obsessive order. But the aforementioned red box is nowhere to be seen. A noise above. The unmistakable sound of keys in the front lock, steps on the wooden floor. Thomas came home from work early. Karen hides in the supply closet, heart hammering in her chest. Through the crack in the door, he watches his brother descend with deliberate movements, walk directly to an apparently ordinary bookshelf, move it effortlessly, revealing a hidden compartment in the wall. From there, he removes the red box, opens the lock with the combination 27 to 1336, and examines the contents, satisfied. Flashbacks show Thomas's behaviors that once seemed normal, now reinterpreted in a sinister new light. Thomas always offering rides to Ashley's friends, insisting even when it wasn't necessary. "It's not safe for girls to walk alone," he said with exaggerated concern. His insistence on being the adult responsible for picking them up from school evening events. The way he took photos of girls at family events, always focusing on specific details: necks, hands, eyes. Photos that seemed innocent, but had a clinical, studious look, as if he were cataloguing. His obsession with documenting everything. Cameras installed in strategic points of the house, including corridors and entrances, justified as security. The basement is always locked, even during family gatherings. "Sensitive projects in progress," he explained. "The tools are immaculately clean, without a trace of dirt, even after intense use." How he readily volunteered to lead the search after the disappearances. How he directed groups away from certain areas. How he manipulated the police, providing clues that conveniently led to David Mills. Recent basement renovation. Thomas insisted on doing everything himself, refusing help even with carrying the heavy materials. He only worked at night, the sound of the work echoing through the neighborhood in the early hours of the morning. He carried large bags of concrete, far beyond what was necessary for a simple aesthetic renovation. Day 25. Karen, still hiding in the stuffy basement closet, sees Thomas remove something from the red box that makes her blood run cold. Polaroids. Dozens of them. In each image, one of the girls is missing. Ashley, Jennifer, Lauren, Abigail, Olivia, all photographed unknowingly, leaving school, in the park, at the mall. Time series showing days, weeks of methodical observation before each disappearance. The shock makes Karen drop something inside the closet. A small glass vial falls, shattering on the floor of the compartment. "Is anyone there?" Thomas asks, voice controlled, almost soft. Karen holds her breath, her entire body shaking uncontrollably. Your own breathing sounds deafeningly loud in your ears. Thomas methodically inspects the basement, approaches the closet, hand reaching for the handle, but is interrupted by the shrill ring of his cell phone. He answers a call from Detective Richardson, scheduling a new interview to clarify some points. Thomas heads upstairs, meticulously locking the basement on his way out. Karen, shaking violently, records everything with her cell phone: the girls' photos, the red box, the hidden compartment. As she tries to leave, she notices a horrifying detail that almost makes her collapse: a small strand of blonde hair stuck in the cool concrete next to the wall. The same unmistakable hair tone. Karen, shaking violently, records everything with her cell phone: the girls' photos, the red box, the hidden compartment. As she tries to leave, she notices a horrifying detail that almost makes her collapse: a small strand of blonde hair stuck in the cool concrete next to the wall. The same unmistakable shade of hair as Ashley. Trying to contain her overwhelming panic, Karen finally understands the monstrous truth that has been in front of her all along. The predator everyone was looking for was sitting at the dinner table with her every night, pretending to share her pain while hiding the truth literally beneath her feet. The monster was not a stranger in the shadows. It was family. Day 26. At the police station, Karen hands over the recordings made with her cell phone. Hands still shaking, eyes swollen from crying. The images are undeniable, even if partially blurred by fear: the red box, the photographs of the girls, the secret compartment. Richardson, still hesitant, calls Samantha Torres, the State Department's serial crimes specialist. His gaze is sharp, incisive, without the complacency that allowed the case to get this far. This is still not enough for a full search warrant. We need more. The photos could be explained as part of the search. The hidden box is not a crime in itself. An officer interrupts the meeting, knocking urgently on the door. "Agent Torres, there's a teenager here, Melissa Rodriguez. She said she only talks to anyone on the Warren case. She seems terrified." Melissa enters the room, eyes red, hands shaking. "I lied before. I didn't tell everything. It wasn't just the uncle that scared Ashley." Torres leans forward, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "There were two. Thomas and William Warren, the brothers. Her uncle and her father." Absolute silence in the room. Karen pales, as if she had been hit physically. Melissa continues, voice broken. "Ashley discovered something terrible about both of them. A pact, a perverse game between them. She didn't run away. She was going to denounce them both that night. That's why she needed to sneak out." In the investigation room, Torres reopens old digitized files, yellow documents scattered on the table. The computer screen lights up his focused face as pieces of the puzzle finally fall into place. 25 years ago, 3 disappearances in Millfield, 50 miles from here. Same age range, same physical appearance. Case dismissed as teenage runaways after cursory investigation. Black and white photos show the school where the disappearances occurred. Among the employees, a young Thomas Warren on his first job as a janitor. Thinner face, longer hair, but the eyes, the same cold, calculating eyes. And look at this. Case from 15 years ago, Riverdale. Torres shows images from another case. 2 missing teenagers. One suspect was eventually arrested, William Warren, Ashley's father. Charges mysteriously dropped due to lack of evidence. Witnesses changed testimonies. The defense lawyer, hired and financed by his brother, Thomas. They protect each other. They've always protected each other. One provides an alibi for the other. Then, they move. They start over. New location, same practices. Karen, horrified, realizes the terrible truth. She entrusted her daughter to the man who, years before, had helped her own husband escape similar charges. A perverse family web that she never saw. William said he moved out west after the divorce. "I haven't kept in touch." Torres checks the records. Never left. Records show property 30 minutes away, under an assumed name. The brothers never separated. At the forensics lab, a technician works tirelessly to recover data from Ashley's damaged Polaroid camera memory card. The never-before-printed digital photos reveal the evidence the teenager had been secretly collecting. The first images show the uncle's basement before renovation, surreptitiously recorded when he wasn't home. Disturbing details, strange marks on the original floor, what appeared to be extensive stains cleaned with chemicals. A party at Thomas's house 6 months earlier. Relaxed, smiling teenagers. All 5 that would later disappear are there. Thomas, in the background, always watching, always with his own camera in hand. Ashley had documented the selection process without realizing it. Most shocking, photos of the open red box, captured hastily, at strange angles. Inside, macabre memories of previous victims, locks of hair carefully labeled with dates, little gems, newspaper clippings about disappearances in other cities, map with accurate markings. The last photo on the card. Thomas caught sleeping in his room. On the bedside table, a framed photo, him and William together, still teenagers, next to an older man with strikingly similar features. On the back, handwritten in ancient calligraphy, "Like father, like children." The tradition continues. She documented everything. She saw the pattern before any of us did, and she paid for it. The forensic technician adds, "There's more. The card has a hidden audio file, converted to image format to disguise it. The recording reveals a secretly captured conversation between the brothers. They discuss next time and how to clean better this time." William mentions that Ashley is asking a lot of questions. Thomas responds that he will take care of it. Ashley had discovered not only her uncle's secret, but a lineage of predators that had been operating for generations. Day 27. With the new evidence accumulated, Karen's video, the photos recovered from Ashley's camera, the old case files, the audio recording, and Melissa's testimony, Torres finally obtains a full court order. Tactical squads simultaneously raid Thomas Warren's home and the rural property registered under the false name used by William. None of the brothers are found. The basement is cordoned off as a crime scene. Forensic teams with special equipment are brought in to examine the concrete. Karen, now under police protection in a hotel, receives an anonymous call on her cell phone. A male voice, digitally distorted but still familiar. "You should have stayed out of this, Karen. Like Ashley should. Now I'm going to have to visit you too. It's a shame. You've always been my favorite sister." Torres traces the call. It comes from a payphone near the home of William Warren, Karen's ex-husband, Ashley's father, who everyone believed was living in another state. The devastating truth emerges in its fullness. The brothers never acted separately. It was a coordinated operation between the two for decades. William pretended to move away after suspicions, but in fact lived periodically with Thomas, helping to select, kidnap, and eliminate victims. The forensic team discovers something that confirms their worst fears. 5 bodies under the concrete of the basement, all identified as the missing teenagers. And an even more disturbing revelation, DNA evidence and photographic documentation found in a secret compartment in the wall indicate that the pattern began in the brothers' childhood, with victims buried on other Warren family properties, going back more than 30 years. This is not the end, Torres concludes, looking at the marked map found in the red box. It's just the beginning. We have 12 more locations marked to investigate, and what's worse, they're still out there, together. Day 28. High alert is issued for the capture of the Warren brothers. Torres discovers that Thomas has withdrawn large amounts of money in recent days, more than $50,000 in cash. William was seen at a convenience store purchasing supplies, fuel, and a road map. Payment in cash. They're together, planning to escape, probably to an isolated location before crossing the state border, Torres deduces, studying the map recovered from the red box. Among the markings, one isolated property stands out. An old Warren family hunting cabin mentioned in one of the photos recovered from Ashley's camera. Located in a mountainous area, accessible only by a secondary road. Karen escapes police protection during shift change. She drives to the cabin, driven by a mixture of maternal anger and a desperate need to confront the truth. Torres and his team discover her escape and follow her, fearing a trap. The cabin appears abandoned when Karen arrives. The full moon illuminates the clearing. Dark, silent interior. Karen enters alone, calling for Ashley, a last desperate hope that one of the girls is still alive. Thomas emerges from the shadows, looking impeccable as always. William appears from behind, blocking the exit. thinner and older than in Karen's memories, but with the same cold look that always unconsciously disturbed her. Why? She was your niece. Your daughter, Karen asks, voice shaky but firm. She found out too much. She was going to ruin everything. Like you're doing now, Thomas replies in a professorial tone, as if explaining something obvious. William adds with a shrug, "She looked so much like you did at the same age, Karen." It was almost poetic. Thomas walks through the confined space of the cabin with the same methodical precision that characterized his every movement. The dim light of a gas lamp casts elongated, dancing shadows on the wooden walls. "I must explain, since we have reached this point. You deserve to understand." Thomas coldly explains the details. Ashley wasn't the first relative to disappear. The family tradition had more than 3 generations. Their father had taught them. His grandfather before him. A lineage of predators passing knowledge, methods, and impulses from father to son. Our father first showed it to us when we were 14 and 15. He said it was our legacy, our inheritance, William recalls with unsettling nostalgia. On the wall of the cabin, Karen now notices something horrifying. An improvised display case with trophies, locks of hair, small jewelry, personal objects, all meticulously labeled by name, date, age. Some girls were special. We have memories of them. Ashley would be one of them if she hadn't been so curious. William notices Karen's look and smiles. Polaroid photos spread across the rustic table show the 5 recent teenagers, clearly in captivity. In all, the same look of terror. The last photo, Ashley reaching for something out of frame, probably her camera, her last attempt to document her captivity. They were perfect, all of them. The expression of recognition when they realize there is no way out is like capturing the essence of life, the exact moment between hope and despair. Thomas admires the photos as works of art as he talks. Karen is paralyzed by horror, not just at her daughter's fate, but by the realization that she has lived with monsters for decades without ever realizing it. William blocks the only door, while Thomas moves behind Karen, removing something from the shelf, the same red box. He opens it methodically, revealing, in addition to the memorabilia, a collection of perfectly clean surgical instruments lined up by size. "You know, I've always wondered what it would be like to include you in the collection, Karen. The perfect sister, so confident in your little brother that you never questioned anything." Thomas selects a knife, examining it in the dim light. Karen knows she's cornered, but her shock is being replaced by primal rage. Its eyes scan its surroundings, looking for anything it can use as a weapon. She's thinking about fighting Thomas, just like her daughter. Ashley tried too. She managed to scratch her pretty face before realizing it was useless. William laughs, as Thomas touches a fresh scar near his eye, not yet completely healed. The police will never get there in time, even if they know where to look, Thomas approaches, confident. What Thomas doesn't realize, Karen secretly activated her cell phone recorder when she entered the cabin. The live feed is being monitored by Torres's team, who are approaching silently through the forest. William notices movement through the window. His face registers the first trace of genuine fear. "Thomas, we have to leave now." Thomas hesitates, assessing the situation. For an instant, his perfectly composed face reveals the monstrous truth behind the social mask. His eyes show no fear, only cold calculation. "A shame. We would have completed the family circle," he says to Karen, almost affectionately. He moves with surprising speed, trying to reach a weapon hidden under the sofa. The movement is interrupted by the sound of the door being broken down. Torres and the tactical team invade. William tries to escape through the back. One shot, screams, chaos. Early morning. Car lights flash red and blue, illuminating the forest clearing in ghostly flashes. Karen sits in the back of an ambulance, thermal blanket over her shoulders, staring into infinity. William's body was covered near the cabin. Thomas, handcuffed, is placed in the squad car after receiving medical attention for a shoulder injury. Throughout the process, his face remains impassive. No remorse, no fear, just a slight disappointment, like someone whose favorite game has been interrupted. Torres sits next to Karen in silence. Words are inadequate given the magnitude of the tragedy. Finally, he offers, "I'm sorry we didn't believe it before. Your daughter, she was extraordinarily brave. She saved many future lives." Karen doesn't respond. The trauma is too great to process at this point. In his mind, flashes of the childhood shared with his brother. The signs that were always there, invisible because they were in plain sight. The collective denial that allowed evil to thrive. On the horizon, the first ray of sunlight breaks the darkness. A new forensic team arrives to examine the property. They will find more evidence in the hours that follow. A cellar hidden beneath the cabin's floorboards, meticulous documentation of decades of horror, a family tree marked with symbols that show how the violence was passed down through generations. Karen looks at her brother one last time as the police car drives away. Their eyes meet briefly. No words are exchanged. None are necessary. The family bond has been irrevocably destroyed, replaced by an abyss of horror. 3 weeks later, 5 white coffins lined up in the municipal cemetery. The entire city attends, united in collective mourning. No bodies were shown. The state in which they were found made this impossible. Just smiling photographs of young women in happy moments, white flowers, and the unbearable weight of what could have been. Karen Warren is present, supported by friends. His once lively face now seems carved from stone. Torres and his team remain at a respectful distance, still investigating other locations marked on the Warren brothers' map. After the ceremony, Karen gives Detective Torres something: Ashley's restored Polaroid camera. She captured beauty in everything. Even to the end, she tried to document the truth, so that others could live. In the city center, an impromptu memorial grew organically. Photos of the 5 girls surrounded by candles, cards, flowers. Among the items, 5 small, colorful boxes, each containing letters written by colleagues, friends, family. Messages for those who will never read them. Most significantly, inside each colored box there is a key, symbolic, representing the freedom that was stolen from them, the doors that will never open, the lost futures. A mother places a 6th box, red, in the center. It's locked, without a key. A silent reminder of the evil that can hide in ordinary objects, in ordinary people, in seemingly normal families. 1 year later, Karen Warren sells the family home, unable to remain in a place with so many tainted memories. The money is donated in full to a foundation that protects children and adolescents. She moves into a small apartment on the other side of town. The walls are covered with Ashley's photographs, not the last ones, but the ones that show her passion for life, for art, for the beauty she found in the details that others ignored. On nights when the silence is deafening, Karen flips through the albums, tracing the outline of her daughter's face with trembling fingers. Twice a week, he visits local schools, share Ashley's story, not to scare, but to equip young people with knowledge. It teaches you about warning signs, about documenting suspicious behavior, about the importance of trusting your instincts. Professor David Mills, initially a suspect, now helps with the program. The experience of being falsely accused turned him into a staunch defender of proper and careful investigations. Melissa Rodriguez receives a criminal justice scholarship. His testimony at Thomas Warren's trial was crucial to his conviction. She carries Ashley's photo in her wallet, a constant reminder of the friend she tried to save and what can still be done to protect others. Torres, promoted after the case, keeps in touch with Karen. Visit monthly, bringing updates on related cases that continue to be discovered. With each new victim identified on the former Warren properties, a flower is added to the permanent memorial now installed in the central square. 2 years after the tragedy, State University Auditorium, packed. Karen Warren is on stage, alongside family members of the other victims. Together, they officially launched the 5 Voices Foundation, dedicated to investigating prematurely cold cases of teenage disappearances. Violence's greatest ally is silence. Evil's greatest accomplice is our collective reluctance to see what is before our eyes. We will not allow other Ashleys, Jennifers, Laurens, Abigails, and Olivias to be forgotten. We will not allow other families to suffer what we have suffered because of inaction, mistrust, or denial. Olivia Chen's mother, once reclusive in her grief, now leads the police training program, teaching officers how to recognize patterns in disappearances and take reports from teenagers seriously. His manual, Listening to Silence, became required reading at police academies across the country. The Warren case transformed the city and reverberated nationally. New laws are implemented, mandatory background checks for everyone who works with minors, even if voluntarily. In-depth investigation of all disappearances, regardless of initial circumstances, more agile alert systems. The director who disbelieved Melissa's testimony publicly resigns, assuming her part in the institutional failure. Most significantly, the community that once embraced denial now embraces conscious surveillance. Neighbors are once again watching neighbors, not with paranoia, but with a renewed sense of collective responsibility. At the local courthouse, a new sign. Justice begins when we choose to see what is hard to look at. 5 years later, Karen walks by the new permanent memorial built where Thomas Warren's house once stood. The site has been transformed into a reflective garden with 5 spring-blooming cherry trees, one for each life lost. In the center of the garden, a metal sculpture, a red box deliberately oxidized, half open. From inside it, 5 bronze birds emerge in upward flight. The message is clear. What was designed to imprison and destroy now symbolizes liberation. Karen leaves a Polaroid on the bench next to the sculpture. In the photo, Ashley at 14 years old, photographing the sunrise. On the back, the same phrase that your daughter wrote in her last post. Some doors, once opened, can no longer be closed. But now Karen has added a line. But through them, the light finally enters. As she walks away, a young woman approaches the memorial. It's a teenage girl with a Polaroid camera hanging around her neck, identical to Ashley's. She is part of the school's new photography club, inspired by Ashley's legacy. Capture an image of the sculpture from the exact angle Ashley would have chosen. At the public library, the book about secret codes where Ashley hid her first message now has a special dedication. It is consulted regularly by teenagers who learn the importance of communicating, documenting, and preserving important truths. Detective Torres, now head of the department, keeps a small miniature red box on her desk. Not as a symbol of horror, but as a constant reminder. Sometimes the most terrible secrets are hidden in the most obvious places, guarded by people we would never suspect. The box remains open, never closed again. The Warren story is not just a crime. It is a study in our collective ability to not see what is in front of our eyes, to believe in the social masks that monsters so skillfully wear. The signs were there. Voices tried to be heard. How many Thomas and William still walk among us, hidden behind smiles, respectable positions, family ties that they use as shields? The next Ashley might be trying to speak right now. The next Karen may be ignoring signs her heart refuses to interpret. What if the one you're supposed to protect is exactly the one you fear most? If you've ever felt that inexplicable shiver, that distrust that you quickly suppressed because it seemed absurd, comment, "I believe you." Because sometimes the only voices that can save lives are the ones we allow ourselves to hear.